Shalom, and welcome back to B'nai Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So in the beginning of Deuteronomy, actually in the first verse, where it says, these are the words that Moses spoke to the children of Israel. And as we pointed out in the previous class, that the locations, quote unquote, that he describes here are not actual geographic locations, because in fact, they don't match up and they make absolutely no sense. Rather, they're all hints and clues for the various, I should say, missteps, the various misdeeds that the children of Israel did in various places or circumstances that Moses is pointing it out in a discreet, camouflaged manner. Let's focus in on the very last one. It says, Dee Zahav. Now, Zahav is gold. Dee means a plentifulness of gold. What was he referring to? Well, this is a euphemism for the golden calf. And Moses is pointing out, look what you did. God gave you an abundance of gold. We know that they left Egypt with a tremendous amount of riches. And that pales in comparison to the amount of loot and booty that they were able to collect after the splitting of the sea, after all the Egyptians died. They had all their ornaments and valuables with them. It says in the Talmud that the, quote, poorest / laziest Jew that left Egypt with the very least left with 90 donkeys laden with goods. Can you imagine what the richer ones left with? So they had an abundance of gold, an abundance of resources. And Moses says to them, that's what you did? That's how you repay the kindness? That's how you say thank you? You have an abundance of gold, so you use that very gold that God gave you, and you use that to construct a golden calf? Now, there's another side to this coin, which teaches us a tremendous lesson. See, because the first side of the coin teaches us how vulnerable we are as humans. Sometimes we take the very blessing that God gives us and we turn that around, we twist it around into becoming the reason, the catalyst for us to unfortunately rebel against God. But the other side of the coin has also a very positive lesson. You see, Moses is rebuking them. Moses is reproving them. He's telling them off for what they did. But at the same time he's telling them off, he also is not, God forbid, excusing it, but still he's showing them, he's indicating to them how he is considering all the circumstances. In fact, the Midrash tells us that Moses used this very point as part of his argument in defending the Jewish people, in securing somewhat of a forgiveness from God and a stay on his decision to annihilate the Jews. And he said to God, in a way, you're at fault. This is your fault. You gave them too much gold. You spoiled them too much. And we know that sometimes, as let's say, for example, parents or educators, we want to be kind to the child. We want to be kind to the student. And unfortunately, we don't have enough experience, or we don't have the proper foresight to see what could result of our actions and how. In the moment, we feel like, well, if we be nicer to them, then obviously that will trigger a better result. That will trigger a better response. But not always does that work. If you're too nice, if you're too soft, that is, of course, nice you have to be. But nice can take on many forms. Sometimes being nice means, in the moment, depriving the child from what the child thinks that they want, because you know it's not good for them, and it's not going to bring about a better level of discipline and a sense of responsibility. It will bring about the opposite. So as you know that being kind is not giving them what they want or what they say they want, but actually not giving them what they say they want. Of course, God makes no mistakes, but still, in their defense, Moses used this argument and he said, you gave them a plentifulness of gold. You gave them too much gold. And that's what led them to be kind of have a distorted vision, have a distorted sense of discipline, and perhaps the weaker ones of them, this is the reason why they sinned. So this teaches us something. Not to say in any way that it absolves anyone for wrongdoing, but always when we look at a person, even when we're in a position where we have to reprove them or hand down punishment, always consider the person's circumstances, where they're coming from, what their situation is, what their background is, because at least, even if we are, so to speak, following the letter of the law and giving them the punishment that's due to them, but still we should never look at the person as totally void of any merit, as totally decayed in any sense of moral standing, because always at some level there's a reason for it. There's something that precipitated it and therefore served as a catalyst for the person's delinquency. Again, I underscore, it doesn't excuse it, but it certainly, puts matters into proper perspective.